You might be wondering, how much money can you really make as a drone pilot? I'm sure you've seen videos on YouTube of how a Mini 4 Pro can make you $2,500 a month. Or maybe you've seen how a Mini 4 Pro can make you $4,500 in a month. $2,500 to $4,500 in a month is fantastic, but why spin your wheels when you can make $46,000 in a day? This is the video that we have been waiting to put out for over a year as we shot a commercial for Intel. Multiple drones, multiple people on the ground, but it's an important lesson that with teams, you can take on bigger jobs, accomplish more, and be more successful and still have the drone adventures that you desire. Look, if you're trying to turn your passion into profit, then take this video as an example to showcase what is possible. So let's talk about what's possible.
911, what's your emergency?
In the race against time, first responders need more than just speed.
Watch the drone.
About this time last year, we were hired to do a public safety video or commercial for Intel and a distributor called TD SYNNEX. Long story short is that we had a difficult challenge. We had to showcase various technologies that were used by firefighters and police, law enforcement, public safety, whatever you want to call them. It's all about having vital tools and information, or a connected suite of tools that can provide information to essentially save lives. The issue is that we had to be able to essentially showcase public safety doing their thing, make them look cool in a dope environment. And I'll be honest with you, I really wanted to take this $46,000 job on by myself. But would I really be able to deliver what the client wanted? A high level of production quality, a high level of aerial video production quality, whatever you want to call it. I quickly realized that I have to work with a solid team in order to get this done and get this done right. And I'll be honest with you, building teams and scaling a business is probably one of the most difficult aspects of building business. I know myself, I have struggled with it time and time again. I have hired people that I absolutely loved working with, only for them to quit 2 to 3 years later. And I know this happens all over industries, as turnover rates, even in construction, can be 50% every 2 years or more, which makes it difficult to build a team. But what you can do is create the high performance, high trust individuals that you know that you can work with on an innate level. People that understand your personality quirks and really aren't emotional, but they're there to have an adventure, they're there to have fun. On this production, I worked with an amazing team, people that I've worked with for years and people that I haven't worked with for very long. So let's talk about the team that went into building this production. Number one is Jake Levesque. Jake is an amazing guy. I've worked with him probably for about 8 years now. He's been a Drone U instructor. He's produced numerous MTV productions. He's worked on MTV productions. He's also the current public information officer at the North Las Vegas Fire Department. This guy has set the foundational formula for how to capture epic shots. Look, I know my strengths. My strengths are flying. My strengths are filming from the air. But I also know I can't be good at filming in the air and filming on the ground at the same time, which was a dynamic challenge in this environment as we had to film firefighters doing their thing, proving the value of technology, working together as they literally put out a fire in a real scene in real time. So imagine that you've got to have multiple cameras going, you've got to have aerial cameras going as well, and you have to capture these dynamic scenes as they are happening. And I knew that Jake had the right formula to capture those scenes on the ground. Look, if you've ever worked on set, you know like the lowest quality camera that you can essentially have is like a Sony FX3, A7S3. I don't think they even use A7R4s. But now aerial cameras are like the LR1 that you see on the Astro. These are all full frame cameras. And Jake essentially knew the formulas that it would take to get exceptional low light footage with anamorphic shots that are just gonna essentially bring the user into the commercial and really engage the user as a whole. I knew that my role would be filming from the air, but it's next to impossible to film in the air if you don't have someone else to film. So that's why we brought in Brandon Hess. He's been an instructor here at Drone U for about 2 years now. Phenomenal individual, works his butt off. Just a good all-around guy, really easygoing. And his job was essentially to fly. My job was to film him flying. Because the whole idea is that we had to showcase how this connected suite of technology is working together to beam information up to the sky for firefighters to make life-saving decisions. We also needed to showcase and visualize how certain even drone technology benefits the firefighters so much by being able to see through smoke, understand if there's a hotspot on a roof. If a firefighter falls through a roof, that firefighter is probably going to die. This happens all the time. And what a lot of people don't know is that there are two different fundamental methodologies of firefighting in the United States. There's the European model and there's the American model. The European model essentially is a firefighter wants to get up on the roof and take this giant, it's almost like an elongated axe, but this axe is a sprinkler head that goes into the roof, penetrates the roof, and just starts flooding the house with water. You can essentially put out a house fire extremely fast with this methodology because it just saturates the home. Now you're also probably like, well, it's probably gonna saturate all my things that are inside. Yes, but at least you can save the structure. The other methodology is the American methodology, which I probably can't explain very eloquently, but they're essentially going to vent various areas of the house to essentially allow the fire to move in the way that they want to. They're gonna attack it from the outside. They're gonna have boots on the ground going inside, but they're two fundamentally different methodologies. And the LFRA, who was sweet enough and nice enough to let us film their training exercises so that we could make these training exercises look like they were real world fires, real world issues that essentially the firefighters were trying to tackle. So we knew that we would have multiple opportunities to shoot fires going on, and we needed to shoot them from the ground, we needed to shoot them from the sky, and we needed those detail shots to showcase how firefighters work with this technology. Look, this just goes to show why being a team player and not being a lone wolf is so important. And in all honesty, this is kind of a hard psychological or ideological aspect to overcome because a lot of people become drone pilots so they can kind of separate themselves from the world, be isolated, enjoy their time, be a little bit more quiet, have adventures, and that's fine and dandy. Honestly, those are great things, but we can isolate and retreat too much that it causes us to have other social problems and anxieties and whatnot. I just have to say this because in all honesty, I personally have had to work through some of these ideological barriers of being the lone wolf versus being a team player, and I'm still learning, to be honest. But getting back to it, having Jake Levesque on the ground using a Sony RS3, we had two of them actually, two A7S3s, we had 24-70 lenses on both of them. We did have a 100mm macro on one of them with an anamorphic lens as well. Filming from the air, we had a DJI Inspire 2 and an M30T. We love those drones. I love the M30T, it's phenomenal. And then shooting the shooters, we had our good friend, producer, editor, Steve De Los Santos, just an amazing producer overall who's worked for NBC and the big networks for a long time. He's worked with us for almost 5-6 years now. Amazing, amazing content creator. On top of that, we had Brandon Hess, who was flying, also capturing shots. And then we had Rob Burdick, who many of you have seen on the podcast. He was capturing some extra B-roll shots as well. So how do we pull this off? We did it all in one night. And once we filmed everything, we essentially organized all the footage based off of cameras so it was easier to pull things down. And we worked from a storyboard of essentially what we were going to show in each scene because the messaging had to be approved before we shot anything. Again, the whole idea was to showcase how a connected suite or symphony of sensors is working together to paint a more realistic picture of these emergencies that are going on so that decisions can be made faster and more efficiently to save people like you and me. We shot numerous different scenes over and over, and I'm not gonna get into the detail of this too much, but what I could say is you guys are here for some value. You guys are here to learn, what did you do to actually get a job that paid that much? Well, first thing is first. Number one, $46,000 for a commercial production is actually not a lot of money. I have a friend in Texas who owns a media house, and he gets into the 6 figures for just one video. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you've got to have a very strong person on the ground with a stabilized camera who knows what they're doing. And you've got to allow them to shoot what they want to show, but also you need someone who's going to be willing to take direction. And Jake is that. He's like, yeah, I'll do what you want, but give me a shot. I think I can do this better. And in many cases, he did do it better. So what I want to tell you and what I want you to know is that having the right team is going to be the difference between being successful and not being successful. Where can you get these jobs? Well, a lot of Fortune 500 companies have distributors. These distributors have vendors, and essentially these companies have been working with the same group of people over and over again for decades. So they trust these distributors to essentially get them what they need. The major hack in owning a drone business or owning a creative business is getting in with these distributors and becoming a vendor. You would be surprised too. There are vendors or distributors like CDW, for example, and they have vendors for things that have nothing to do with computer stuff. So I'll just say this because it's important to know that if you get in with a large multi-billion-dollar distribution company, and there's probably a dozen or so of them out there, you are going to have so much video work, it's gonna be ridiculous. And a lot of people, talk about in these other YouTube videos of here's how to make $3,000 a month, whatever. Okay, but you're constantly going after new clients all the time. Whereas with distributors, you're a vendor, you prove your worth, and you keep getting work over and over again. It's a completely different model. And honestly, it's one that I think a lot of you will see much more success with. Whenever you're getting these jobs, it's gonna have to be extremely high level production from start to finish. The planning process is gonna be storyboarding. You're gonna have to write out the entire narrative or voiceover in this case. We hired a voiceover talent to do the voiceover, got the voiceover approved. Once the voiceover was approved, we planned with the fire department on when they were doing training so that we could film it. We also had to have a disclaimer in the video that the fire department does not endorse Intel or endorse the distribution company whatsoever. And then we had to add emotion to the video as well. So once we had the training schedule set, we had storyboard set, the voiceover was already done, it was time to shoot. And we had a long list of what we had to shoot. My biggest issue whenever it comes to shooting these massive commercials is that I typically get too excited, too giddy. And we have to remember from Chris Voss, he came on the podcast a long time ago, you are 33% dumber when you're upset, frustrated, annoyed, or giddy, okay? I fall into that giddy category way too much. So having that shot list of almost like a checklist was imperative to our success. Ultimately, I want you guys to see what went into this commercial production, but I want you to learn what the formulas are to shooting. I'm not gonna sit here for 20 minutes and go over, do this, this, and this. We have an entire class that we've worked on over the last year to provide exactly what that formula is. And we just launched the course with Jake. It's like Jake's Videography Secrets or something like that. I can't remember the title of the course. But the course is probably the most valuable asset on DroneU. And it should be sold for $10,000 per seat just because the amount of bang for your buck or the amount of revenue that you could bring in with knowing these corporate secrets for filming videos is just astronomical. So I want you to see the production. We're super proud of it. I also want to do this video to empower any of you who love to fly or you love to film and you just don't know if you can do it. You just don't know if you have the right skills to pay the bills. It only takes one client to completely change your internal narrative, but you have to believe that you can do it and you have to practice because you're ultimately only going to be as good as your most recent video. And I've got some videos, probably this one included, that I could have been a lot more succinct. I could have been a lot more focused. But I'll be honest with you, this entire journey was put together in 3 weeks. And when I say this journey, I mean this commercial production. 3 weeks from ideas to meetings to get it filmed. And then 30 days after it was filmed, a check for $46K came in and it was fantastic. And I'm making this video because for all of you who wonder, can you really be successful as a drone pilot? Yes. And you do not have to shoot for the bottom of the barrel like all those multi-million videos that are on YouTube. Okay, those are clickbait. This is real. You can do it too. If you want to see the entire step-by-step, organized chronological order of how we put together everything in this video, check out the course at thedroneu.com. And I will also say that Jake teaches videography at our experience trainings. I think the training in itself is worth it from that. So let's check out the end product. This is the video that we made for Intel. Thanks again to the Loveland Fire Rescue Authority. Amazing individuals. I just can't say thank you enough for letting us film some of your trainings, and I really appreciate all firefighters out there. I think you guys, guys and gals, have just cojones and bravery of what I dream to have. I mean, like, you think about today's division in the world and how they're just willing to go out there and save lives and not ask questions just takes a significant level of humility. And honestly, the courage that it takes is insane. So just want to say thank you to all firefighters out there. By the way, Jake is also doing a course on how fire departments can film videos like this for their own marketing. So check that out. But without further ado, here's the commercial that we did for Intel.
In the race against time, first responders need more than just speed. They need intel. Picture this: connected vehicles armed with a symphony of sensors and the might of automated tools, providing first responders with a data-driven edge like never before. It's not just about arriving quickly, it's about arriving prepared. Thanks to Intel, our heroes can make mission-critical decisions at warp speed, ensuring that every second counts. Because in emergencies, information is their lifeline. Intel, empowering first responders to make the best first decisions, saving lives one bite at a time. Powered by Intel, delivered by TD SYNNEX.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us today. Check out the course, it's on thedroneu.com. Look for Jake's name in the course to check it out so you can see exactly how we made this video, how you can do it, and how you can score these jobs. Because again, we made this video to prove to you that you don't have to search at the bottom of the barrel. If you know how to speak the language, you know what formulas to use to capture the footage, go out and capture and make commercials to provide examples to clients and get these jobs. You can do it, and we'll help you at The Drone U.